Hello and welcome back to the Elsie version. We are in Hebrews chapter 2 today. Don't mind the background noise. It is almost 90 degrees here in New York City and we don't have AC, so that is a fan. All right, Hebrews 1 was talking about the supremacy of Christ, okay? And it was talking about how he is different than the angels and how he is above the angels. And we are about to jump into chapter 2. So we're going to start in verse 13 of chapter 1 and then go right into chapter 2, okay? Verse 13. And to which of the angels has God, he, ever said, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet? Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? That's in context of angels. Verse 1, therefore, we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it. For since the message declared by angels proved to be reliable, and every transgression or disobedience received a just retribution, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? It was declared at first by the Lord, and it was attested to us by those who heard, while God also bore witness by signs and wonders and various miracles and by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. All right. So the writer is talking about focusing more on the gospel, paying attention to what you've heard, paying attention to the Bible, right? So that you don't drift away from it. Because if you drift away from it, it says, and every transgression or disobedient received a just retribution. Like we will reap everything we've sown, okay? And he then says it was declared by God, and then by those who heard, and then also by signs and wonders, right? And by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. That's in direct correlation with it might be 1 Corinthians 12 when it's talking about this Holy Spirit will give the gifts as he sees fit. It may also be Romans 12. But in one of the lists of spiritual gifts, it says that the Holy Spirit gives as he sees fit, basically. So that's kind of some context background for that. All right, verse 5. For it was not to angels that God subjected the world to come, of which we are speaking. It has been testified somewhere, what is man that you are mindful of him? This is the Psalms. I don't know why don't they give the little, I think this is Psalms 20 something. Yeah, I don't remember which Psalms this is. But it is the Psalms where David writes, what is man that God should be mindful of him? My Bible still smells new, which is kind of crazy because I use it all the time. Anyway, I don't know, but it's a psalm, okay? You can go look it up yourself. You should do it. Anyway, what is man? Wait. Oh, it's Psalm 8, 44 through 6. My thing just put it at the beginning instead of the end of it. Anyway, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you care for him? You made him for a little while lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet. So he's talking about Jesus there. But then he's also talking about us. Okay, that gets back to Hebrews 1, where I was like, God made us co-heirs. That's crazy. Okay. So, it's not for the angels that God created the world, right? Continuation of verse 8. Now, in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside his control. At present, we do not yet see everything in subjection to him. But we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. Okay, so this is reiterating what we read in chapter 1. So it's talking about the supremacy of God, but it's also talking about how Jesus became fully man, okay? Which is crazy because he was fully man and fully God, okay? So, verse 10, for it was fitting that he, for whom and by whom all things exist, and bringing many sons to glory, should make the founder of their salvation perfect through suffering. Okay, so we see that Jesus has everything in his control, right? That he tasted death for everyone, and through all things, everything exists through him, okay? All right, verse 11, for he who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one source. That is why he is not ashamed to call them brothers. Okay, so now he's talking about how Jesus calls us friends, right? Saying, I will tell of your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation, I will sing your praise. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children God has given me. That last one is Isaiah 8:18, and the one before that was 22:22. Psalm 22:22. Okay. So Jesus is not ashamed to call us brothers and sisters. Verse 14. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is the devil. So the devil has the power of death, but he did the very same things so that he could destroy death, okay? Like, that was the devil's trump card, and he got swatted down. Okay. That is the devil. Verse 15. And deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. For surely it is not angels that he helps, but he helps the offspring of Abraham. Therefore he had to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Okay, so Hebrews so far is making the point of Jesus is above the angels. However, he became fully man to be able to take on death, okay? And that the world was created for humans, and that's why God did that, okay? And now, like, Hebrews is basically just giving, it seems like they're fighting the lie of that Jesus, one, was not fully man, fighting the lie of two, angels are higher than him, or that angels are more important than us. Or three, it's not the angels, like, this isn't for angels. So somewhere along this way, somebody's been into some angelology, and the writer of Hebrews is like, y'all need to quit it and let me lay down the law. So that's really cool. And I love the context of him being the high priest. I just was reading Exodus where Aaron and his sons are put as the high priest. In the very beginning of the high priesthood. Anyway, let's see. I'll ask you a different question today. What is your favorite part of this chapter? What is it that you read and you're like, yeah, that's really awesome? Yep, and come back tomorrow and we'll jump into chapter 3. Bye.